everyone. And on behalf of Authority Magazine, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome with me today my awesome guest, Jamie MoCrazy. Hello, Jamie.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you here, Jamie, and for you to share your story of inspiration and resilience. And before we dive into why we're here today, let's tell people a little bit about you, your childhood. What was your childhood like? What got you into skiing?
Well, my childhood, I was very adventurous. I was always climbing on things. And actually, the name MoCrazy started in my childhood when I was about 8 months old. I climbed up the drapes and I got stuck at the top. And I said, "Mommy, come helping me." And she said, "Oh, my little MoCrazy." And then it stuck. And now it's actually turned into my legal last name. But so I was always Jamie MoCrazy, the little MoCrazy, my whole childhood, very adventurous. And as far as skiing goes, it actually passes down through lots of generations. My grandmother was the World Cup downhill champion, and my great uncle went to the Olympics twice for skiing. And my great grandmother actually, she sewed the first ever Olympic uniforms for skiing. So,
all right. So you definitely have ties to skiing.
yes, I do.
Now, you didn't just pick up any kind of skiing. You picked up the crazy type of skiing.
Yeah, MoCrazy.
Tell us about that. What got you into the crazy type of skiing?
Well, I grew up a gymnast and a skier, and I was a soccer player. Those were my three main sports I did as a child. But with gymnastics and skiing, actually, when I was 9 years old, I was interviewed by the Connecticut Post, and they interviewed me for the magazine saying, "What would you like to do when you grow up?" And I said I wanted to combine skiing and gymnastics.
All right. So you combined the two
freestyle.
passions.
Yeah.
And you were on top of your career when something happened.
Yes. So I was traveling around the world, competing professionally. I had been to X Games. I actually had been the first woman to double flip at X Games. And I was climbing up the mountain of life when I was caught in a metaphorical avalanche, which slid me down to the bottom. When I was at World Tour Finals, I actually gave my little sister, Jeannie, a hug and dropped in for my second run. And my first run, I had ended up in 4th place. So, I knew I had to upgrade. Everyone's like, "Oh, good job." But no, if you know sports, 4th place is not on the podium and that doesn't cut it. So I'd had to change my off-axis backflip to an off-axis double backflip. So on the second run, when I took off, I actually landed the double backflip on my feet, but I caught an edge and I whiplashed my head onto the snow in such a way my brain started bleeding in 8 spots. And I hurt my right brainstem, which paralyzed the right side of my body.
What do you remember happened after?
I remember very little of that whole situation and very little of what happened after, because I was in a coma. And then when I woke from the coma, that meant I could open my eyes for 2 minutes on my, like I could open them. But I had serious amnesia. So I used to always say like the movie 50 First Dates, but unfortunately, less and less people have seen that movie now. I still love it. I love that movie. But like in 50 First Dates, where the star can't remember short-term memory day to day, I had no recollection of what happened day to day.
What was the journey after?
So the journey after was interesting because when my mind came back and I started remembering things, I was leaving the hospital. However, I didn't believe I was in a hospital. I actually, the nurses would ask me where I was, and I'd say I'm in a movie about a hospital. You see, I have pictures all over my walls. I have a hammock in my room. And I can even prove it to you because when you poke me with the needles, it doesn't hurt because I'm in a movie about a hospital. And they had some trouble figuring out how to tell their patient it didn't hurt because she was paralyzed and she was in a hospital. So I told them I was supposed to tell them I was in a hospital because my mom convinced me that I couldn't leave where I was without telling them that, or I was supposed to tell them I was in a hospital.
Okay. And then what was your prognosis, your original prognosis after you left the hospital?
So my prognosis when I was in the hospital was that they weren't even sure if I was going to live through the night. So when I arrived, my first responders actually wrote my fatality report, and the prognosis was very grim. And then it stayed pretty grim throughout the whole hospital stay. And when I began to recover, there was always a question of how far I would recover, because we need to work on change. And it is happening, but it's exciting to be part of changing the narrative surrounding traumatic brain injury in the hospital level, the policy level, which is why we're here today, all the different levels, because when my older sister went to medical school 20 years ago, she was taught that after 2 years, if you were over 26 years of age, you couldn't recover. And now we know in neuroplasticity, you can change your synaptic connections and create new brain pathways at any time in your life. So you can have a recovery at any stage of your life, but the narrative needs to change so that everyone is aware of that and we have the opportunity to recover.
And you're a great testament to the narrative can change.
Yes.
What was your healing journey like?
So for my healing journey, a big portion of it was that my mom had a master's in psychology and early childhood brain development, and a certification in nutrition. So we really focused on how what you eat affects your outcomes. So I was always eating natural foods. I was totally staying away for the first 2 years from any alcohol. I stayed away from caffeine, and I stayed away from white sugar. And so just what you consume affects the outcomes that you have. And also we did a lot of nature therapy. So going outside, even when I was in the hospital in a wheelchair, I couldn't walk. My mom would bring me outside in the wheelchair. And that's really vital because statistics show how much going outside helps you. And if you're inside for months at a time, you don't really have the opportunity to heal.
Yes, it's huge. The little things, it's impressive how the little things make such a huge difference.
Yes.
Yes. So it has been how many years now since your injury?
7 years. It's almost April, so it's almost 8 years.
Almost 8 years. Congratulations on
Thank
that,
you.
Jamie. So what's now? What is your purpose now? What do you do now? Why are we here tonight?
So we're here because I'm going to be screening the film that we just produced called #MoCrazy Strong in front of legislature and policymakers for traumatic brain injury federally, like across the whole US. So we're on Capitol Hill. I'm really excited about that because I want to, as part of changing the narrative around TBI, the policymakers need to understand that they need to give the opportunities and state and federal funding to allow these organizations to help for years beyond just the acute hospital care, and that will allow a full recovery. So the mindset needs to shift from helping to understanding that these individuals who have a traumatic brain injury are going to need disability insurance for the rest of their life, to thinking that if we put more upfront care and opportunities, they will be able to have a full recovery and contribute back to society.
Jamie, if you had to thank one person who inspired you to keep going through your journey, or maybe multiple people, who would that be?
I would say the one person who is the most involved and I owe my recovery and life to the most is my mom. And there's a lot of times for months, I actually was not making my own decisions. She was making the decisions that created the outcome that you see today. And so I love her a lot, and I'm so fortunate, which is why we have created the nonprofit MoCrazy Strong, and we're doing this work, is because many individuals don't have the educated support. So even if a family caregiver wants to and loves so much, quite often they end up actually hurting rather than helping, because my mom would tape down my strong hand to utilize my weak hand to regain my mobility. And a lot of people don't understand things like that.
Yeah. Jamie, if you had to leave us with an inspirational quote or life lesson or a word of wisdom, what would you tell our listeners and readers?
So my inspirational quote is from my mom again, and it's be your own personal best. And that's different than just being successful and being the best. Sometimes your own personal best for that day is walking your dog or having a hot chocolate, but doing your own personal best at whatever it is for the day.
Okay. Jamie, you mentioned your organization, your foundation. Tell us just a little bit about that and what are the big projects that you have going on there.
So with MoCrazy Strong, we give educated guidance for peer-to-peer support for traumatic brain injury survivors and family caregivers. And so that's something we do. And we have been doing for years, kind of loosely, but now we are officially a 501c3. So we are structuring a little bit more about our deliveries. So that's one of the things. And then we also are really focusing on raising awareness about traumatic brain injury recovery opportunities. And so what the recovery opportunities are, and then how do you get access to them? Because there's no real roadmap is something that people we help, I hear from over and over again. There's no roadmap. Once you leave the hospital and you're alive, there's nothing to help you become alive to thrive and contribute back to society.
Excellent. Where can people find you and follow your journey and everything that you do, Jamie?
So MoCrazyStrong.org is our website. And on Instagram, I'm Jamie MoCrazy, JAMIEMOCRAZY. And Facebook is MoCrazy Strong, MoCrazyStrong.
Very good. I wish you continued success, Jamie. I'm really excited about the screening tonight, and let's make a change.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Can't get enough of those rebellious conversations? Do make sure you subscribe, like, and share with your friends.